Hi everyone, welcome back to another weekly paycheck budget with me. My name is Jackie and we are enjoying life's journey. Welcome to the channel. Today we're going to be budgeting out I think it's the third paycheck of March, which is March 18th, 2022. I am filming this on Thursday. I just went grocery shopping, so I do have some changes or updates I already need to make based on what we just spent at the store. And I have some changes for last week based on some spending, so I'm going to kind of have to cover that out of this week's spending. And then this particular paycheck is my husband's last paycheck from his other job, and this is officially his first week at the new job, so next week will be the first paycheck of the new job. You guys were awesome last week. You had so many comments. I think I had like 17 plus comments, and I tried my best to share them with you guys. I had 12 comments this week. I had 12 comments from last week's video. So again, thank you guys for taking the time to comment. I read every single comment, and on these particular videos, if you leave a comment, I'm going to be addressing it in next week's video. On all of my other videos, like I mentioned, I do read every single comment and I try to at least acknowledge that you left it, and if it's an actual question, I will try to answer the question, but for the budget videos, I am sharing them on today's video. So similar like last week, I'll be going through your comments as they pertain to the budget. We do follow what's called a zero-based budget, or an every dollar budget. I learned how to do this back in, I think, 2014 or 15, when we were really struggling. We are living off of food stamps, and basically we made about $1,400 a month. We had to move in with my dad. You know, we had some issues. We didn't know how to manage our money, and so I was searching for help. What do I do? And I found Dave Ramsey's zero-based budget. So I used to use his paper budget, and then because I like Excel, I went ahead and created my own Excel sheet. So it is for sale on Etsy. The link is down below if you want to pick it up for yourself. As I go through the budget today, you'll kind of get an idea of how to use the template if you do decide to pick it up. We have come a long way, and I do believe by doing a zero-based budget, it helps you to control your money instead of your money having control over you. And by doing a paycheck budget, you can start planning ahead. So instead of paying bills late, you know, because you're like, oh wait, I forgot this is due, you can start planning ahead and getting a few weeks ahead, even a few months ahead, depending on how far ahead you want to get on some of those bills. Real quick, I just want to say, making me better, I want to start with your comment today. She says, I have learned that the Lord always provides. Keep yourself close to the Lord and all will work out to his plan. Hugs, thank you for sharing. So last week, you know, I mentioned our plan to rebuild our emergency fund and just our retirement plans and all of that, and just, you know, shared how at one point we were homeless. So yes, I do believe in the fact that everything always works out. We have gone through a lot of different situations, from having car accidents, having to have major surgeries and being in the hospital, giving birth to 2 children, losing our jobs, not making enough money to provide for our family, having natural disasters destroy part of our house, being homeless. So yes, we have gone through probably every type of an emergency that you could think of, and we have always managed to make our way out. So definitely, I do believe that we are being watched over. So thank you for that. And now let's jump on to the actual budget. Yeah, so I would say probably the only emergency we haven't made it through is one of us dying, which that's why we have life insurance. All right, so for those of you who are new, like I mentioned briefly, Ricky, my husband, just started a new job. So this is the paycheck for his last paycheck from the other job. So his pay at that job was $27.23 an hour, and the overtime was $40.85. So he had about 10 hours of overtime. So I already updated this number based off the pay stub. So I like to make this black on my budget form because that tells me that is finishing out that amount for the month, and so that's what we have. For next week, if you guys have been following along, I already made some changes on Ricky's new job. So originally I had only planned him budgeted him working maybe like 37 or 38 hours because of having his first day of training. So they actually were paid 8 hours for that first day. I had estimated 5 hours, and then they've been working their 10-hour days. So he actually is going to have 8 hours of overtime. So his new pay with the new company is $30 an hour, and then his overtime is $45 an hour. So next week he's anticipated to make $1,200 of his base pay and $360 worth of overtime. My self-employment, for those of you who've been following, I started delivering for DoorDash because I was waiting to be on the Amazon Flex. I was on the wait list for Amazon Flex. I have officially been off the wait list, and I did my first delivery this week on Tuesday, and it was way better than DoorDash. So I have a feeling I'll be doing more of Amazon Flex, and I'm just doing 1 day a week. So the goal is just to do a few hours on Tuesday, and then I have whatever I make on YouTube. So whatever I'm making on that is counted as self-employment because I do have to pay taxes on that, and then I have different expenses that I count with that because it's a write-off. So my cell phone is covered by that money, our internet is covered by that money, and then any gas I'm driving that is specifically for delivering, whether it's DoorDash or Instacart or DoorDash or Amazon Flex, will come out of that. And then whatever is left, I'm bringing over to the personal budget. And I've already said this a few weeks ago that whatever I bring over is going straight as an extra payment on our teardrop trailer, so I've already put that down in the budget for there. So that's what I do, is I go on and I say, okay, what was the income for this week, and then what do I need to change for next week based on what my husband's actually working this week, because he'll get paid next week for that. And so I had a lot of you also saying good luck to Ricky. So thank you guys so much for chiming in. A lot of the comments were giving him encouragement, saying that they hope he likes the job and to good luck with him. So far he's loving the new drive. There's like no traffic for him going in or out of work. Basically a half-hour drive. So he was driving like almost an hour and a half one way before, and so now a half-hour drive is way better. They're still in that first week, so there was orientation, and then he had a day where they kind of tested them to see, you know, what do they know how to do and how well are they able to do it, and then so now they're officially working. So yeah, the first few days we're just getting all of, you know, the new hire stuff done. So we'll see what he thinks after a couple weeks, but so far he's liking the drive. So then what we do is we work our way down our budget, and we have paying ourselves first. So if you notice, we're not investing anymore in the 401k. With the new employer, Ricky can sign up for the 401k after 6 months. And I mentioned, you know, over the last 2 weeks that we wanted to focus on rebuilding our emergency fund. So we're going to do 1 month worth of our expenses, and these are our bare necessity type expenses, like our bills that we got to pay, and like food and gas, those type of things. So for us, it's $3,600. So the goal is to replace that. We have about $213 in savings right now. So obviously we got a little bit of work to do. With Ricky's overtime, and in April he'll have 5 paychecks. We should be able to have that fully funded by the end of April, so that should be really good. So Danny's delivery, they follow the DoorDash video, so basically saying if your debt has a lot of interest, I would pay that off first. No reason to literally give money away and then invest, you know, into the IRA and max that out every year. So we refinanced our house. We had a 30-year mortgage. We refinanced to a 15-year mortgage. So our interest on the house is only like 2.8%. So it's really not that big a deal. And obviously that's a huge expense. So that would be paid. You would start working on that debt after you were investing at least 15% of your income anyways, if you're following Dave Ramsey. The other 2 debts we have a teardrop and we have a truck. Now both of those, the interests are about 5%, so it's not a huge amount compared to what we could get in the market. And the biggest thing for us, I mentioned in a few other videos, our focus is really being able to have a certain amount of money in our retirement accounts by the time we're 56, and we're late to the game. We're going to be 40 this year. We only started investing like 3 years ago, and so we need to be investing almost $2,000 a month for us to reach the number that we want. So I'm not worried about the interest for those 2 loans versus what we are going to be doing in investment wise. And the other thing is, with the new job and the overtime, we plan on having the teardrop paid off later this year and hopefully having the truck paid off within 2 years. So that should be fine there. I also had a few other comments relating to the investing and the saving. So let's take a look at those real quick. Yeah, so Heather just says, good luck saving the $3,600 and congrats on our investment agreement. So I mentioned, Ricky and I have different views on money. So I finally got him to agree on this one thing, and that's we are going to be investing 15% of our income by the end of the year, and we'll increase that to 20% or more once the teardrop and the truck are paid off. Yeah, so it definitely, helps. She also said she thinks it's right to acknowledge the reality and to do what works for us. So she's referring to basically last week I mentioned, because I had a comment, saying how we borrow money, we pay it off, we borrow more money, we save money, we spend money, and I just came, I acknowledged to everybody here that that's the reality of our life, and that whatever we were doing, that trying to save a bigger emergency fund wasn't working because we were just spending the money. So definitely putting it in investments so I can't spend it is what's going to work for us. Jillian says that they're planning to retire early as well. They're going to try around their 50s. But they also have the advantage of 2 engineer jobs, so the income of 2 really good paying jobs. So congratulations, Jillian, for you guys having that. That would be awesome if you could have everything ready by 50. That'd be great. Lisa also mentions good luck on saving the $3,600. It shouldn't take us that long. We're doing it by the end of April. Once we pay off the teardrop and the trailer and stuff or the car and the truck and the trailer, obviously we start throwing that money, increase our emergency fund, and then we can start throwing that money at the house, which is what we plan on doing as well. Lefty's wifey, she says her husband and her are both spenders. So yes, we're both spenders as well. So I had a question last week because I had someone ask me last week, do I have 3 months of an expense and an emergency fund? And I mentioned that to me, those were both one thing. So Lisa mentioned, so she says she sees the 3 months or 6 months of expenses and an emergency fund as the same thing. That's how I see it as well. Lefty's wifey says they have an emergency fund, and then they have a separate savings fund, that's the fund that keeps getting spent. So it's kind of like what we have. We call them sinking funds. So you guys see a lot of my net worth progress. Like we have money saved specifically for house projects. So that money's being saved, but we're not counting that as our emergency fund. The problem with us is we're spending the emergency fund on non-emergency fund items. yeah, but she can relate. You guys can relate, so thank you for relating to that. And then where are we at? Living with the edges. She says that they have a pension, but they do not have a contribution from the employee. The employer, like her employer, they actually put the money in there. So it's different. A lot of people have to put their own part of their own paycheck in there. So yeah, that's rare, and that's awesome that you have an employer that puts the money in there for your pension. That's awesome. Yeah. She said keep strengthening your saving monthly. So yeah, we have to build, because I mentioned this last time, that we just don't have the habit of saving. So it's easy to pay off extra on debt because you're still spending. It's easy to invest because for me, my brain still sees it as spending because I'm buying investments, I guess. So we need to start learning how to save. So how to have that money in the bank and not touch it. So we're going to start with the $3,600 and we'll see how it goes. But she says, sounds like Ricky is going to be working a lot. Yeah, so the new job, it is basically, they're going to be doing 10-hour days Monday through Friday, and then once they get all the supplies, it's a brand new job site. It's going to be like a 10-year project. They got a lot of small things, like they got different buildings to build within this huge area. So they will be bringing on Saturdays, possibly Sundays, once everything gets going. So I have a few more comments, but we're going to address them later on down the line. So out of this particular week, we're not putting anything into the savings yet. Now, if you guys you will see on my grocery haul video that I'll be posting on Wednesday that we spent $35 on giving. So I needed to add that to this week's paycheck. Also, what I do as I'm working my way down the budget. All right, so I have an account that's where everything goes in, like Ricky's paycheck goes into. So I named it income, and on the side of my budget template here, I can track my accounts, okay? So I like to keep track of where everything's at. So that money is gonna hit the bank account, so I wanna already know, like, where's it going? So I don't blow it, right? So I know we're gonna have $35 out of this week's paycheck. So I'm gonna make this orange on my budget template because now at a glance, I know this is money that's gonna be in the bank. Black will mean the money is spent, it's gone, whether it came out as an automatic deduction from my husband's paycheck or if we spent it. Blue means it invested or saved. Okay, so coming on down, I already looked at my husband's pay stub and I adjusted what taxes there were. So $24.59 came out for federal, $18.33 came out for state, $20.45 came out for Medicare, and $87.41 for Social Security. So I make these black because those come out of the paycheck automatically. And that brings me to the next comment. So this was Stardust. Stardust says, I make less than Ricky. How are his federal taxes so low? This is a really great question, and it honestly probably deserves like a whole separate video because there's a lot to it, right? But I'm going to try my best to explain from what I understand. I'm not a tax expert or anything like that. So first things first, what's going to come into play is if you are single, head of household, or married, okay? This is going to determine what you get taxed within your tax bracket. Let me Google something real quick. I just Googled 2022 tax brackets, okay? So everything, so this is for the US. Obviously, if you live in another country, it's going to be different. So we are married and we file jointly. However, we are still only basically a one-income family, so it seems like a bigger tax advantage, right? So let me explain. So if you're single, the first $10,275 that you make is taxed at 10%. Okay? If you're married, then you're only paying 10% of taxes up to $20,000. Okay? So I don't know, Stardust, I don't know if you're married or not, right? Or if you file jointly. So we're married. So right away, we're already saving 2% worth of tax versus someone who was single on like $10,000. The next bracket is 12%. So anything that, if you're single, anything you're making from $10,000 up to $41,000 gets taxed at 12%. For married couples, it's from $20,000 to $83,000. So we do not make more than $83,000, so we're never taxed at this 22, 24, or 32%. Now, again, Stardust, you said you make less than Ricky, so I'm assuming you'll probably have part of your income taxed at 10% and part of it is taxed at 12%. So that's the first thing that can change based on if you're single or married. If you are investing in your 401k, the purpose of the 401k is it's a tax advantage, meaning it's going to come out of your paycheck, and then you're not paying taxes on that money now. You will pay taxes on it when you take the money out during retirement. The theory behind this is that your tax bracket will be lower in retirement because you won't be making as much money, or you won't need to live off of as much money. Okay, so that helps you there. So you guys saw before that he was investing, so that lowered our taxable income right there. The other thing that they count is if you're paying for health insurance. So that also comes out of your taxable income. So those are two variables, right? The third thing we have, and I'm not sure about you, Stardust, is that we have 2 children. So here we have what's called the child tax credit. So we have 2 children. The child tax credit is $2,000 per child. So that would be, we would get a $4,000 tax break on the taxes we would owe. All right, so let's say he's gonna make $61,000 for the year, okay? And we're gonna be investing $1,901 into the 401k. So I can subtract that right away. $1,901 will be subtracted out of that. Also, we're gonna be paying our health insurance. And our health insurance, we're gonna be paying $4,700. So minus $4,712. So our taxable income would only be $54,000 versus $61,000, okay? The next thing you do is, like I mentioned, we're getting taxed at this 10% up to so we have $20,550 taxed at 10%. That would be $2,055 for taxes. okay? But like I said, we had $54,000 as taxable. So now we need to tax the other $34,000, be $34,57 at the 12%. So that's another $4,086 worth of tax. So if I add that to the $2,000, so we would owe on our income of the $61,000, with after taking out the health insurance that we paid and taking out the 401k that we'd be investing in, our taxable income, we would owe $6,141 worth of taxes. Like I mentioned, we get $4,000 tax credit for having 2 children. So if I subtract the $4,000, that means we would have to pay $2,141 worth of taxes. If I divide that between 52 weeks, because my husband gets paid every week, for the year, we would have to pay $41 a week to federal taxes. But if you see, it fluctuates week to week because it also depends on if he has overtime, like I mentioned, if we're investing or not. So we're gonna be spending about $2,000 for taxes in federal. So if I look up on here my yearly thing right there, boom, $2,143. So we might even get $10 back. So that's how those are the 3 variables of what affects your taxes. The other thing is your employer, the form that you fill out, that W-2 or whatever, the W-9 or 4, whatever it is that you fill out, before you used to be the one who would say, oh, I have 8 deductions or 6 deductions, and you had to try to calculate all of that yourself. They've made it a lot easier now, where basically you fill it out and you say, okay, I have 2 dependents, that's $4,000, and then the employer they have some kind of calculation that figures it out. So 1, make sure you have an updated tax form with your employer, and then 2, those are the variables. If you're single, if you're married, if you have kids, if you don't have kids, if you're investing in a 401k, or you're paying for health insurance, or you're not. Those are the variables that change your taxes. I went really long on that. Like I said, it could be a whole separate video, but I feel like people should know part of this. We also, for this current paycheck, like I said, it's the last paycheck of my husband's old job, paid the life insurance, the long-term disability, and the health insurance. So this makes sure that we still have coverage for a month, and then the next pay, you're going to see there's nothing coming out for those, because that's when the new job starts, and we will not start paying on the new insurance, and we will not have new insurance until he's been there for a month. Now, I did have another viewer mention, so journeying through life, she said, because I mentioned that Ricky won't have long-term disability or short-term disability coverage through his employer until he's been there for 1 year. So she said you could look into your car insurance to add that coverage, and then basically just add to the car insurance. So a question for you, I guess, is I assumed that if you have that kind of disability coverage on your car insurance, it would only cover you if the disability was because of a car accident. So would it still cover you if it's a work accident? That's a question. If you guys know the answer to that, leave it in the comments. Yeah, so thank you guys. Those are all the comments for this week. I hope I answered some questions for you. Again, thank you guys for the encouragement. Let's get on down. All right, so I already went shopping. Again, on Wednesday, you're going to see what we spent where. So I'm going to open these up because I do need to change what we did. So I'm going to start doing this a little bit different. Normally I film this and then I go grocery shopping, but I decided to go grocery shopping and then film it, because then I can adjust what was spent. So we were budgeting $110, and this was to cover $100 for food and then $10 for any personal household items that may have come up. So I already have my receipt. You guys will see that on Wednesday. But we actually did spend $2 on household. I do have 38 cents I need to cover from last week, and then we spent $4. So $4.38 for the personal care. We spent $106.03 on food, and then the $3 for the tortoise food. So this is actually $109.03. So obviously we went over a little bit from what we planned, but some of the food we bought will last us a month. So I have the option, I can take off $10 from next week, which was the original plan. I was going to take the $10 off from next week to kind of stay within the budget overall for the month. However, I'm just going to leave that there. So I'm going to go ahead and make these orange, because we're going to say this money is going to be in the bank. This 400 for the roof, for the patio, I actually already took that out of the ATM, so I'm gonna make that a 0. So we're gonna have $109.03 to pay for the groceries we just spent. We charge the stuff on our credit card, and then we pay off our credit card every Friday. So we get cash back. We never pay interest on the credit card. $4.38 will go towards the personal care, and then $2 towards the house. So we already have $10.22. So we need $581.75, and then we won't need anything out of next week's paycheck. So we're gonna make this, we're gonna gray that back in. We use the paint bucket to gray it in. And this is gonna be orange. It's not blue until I put it in the savings account. So if you notice these things that are blue, this is the bill money for these bills, but these are due for April. So we're a few weeks ahead. And so we're gonna make sure we have that $581.75, and then again, once I put that in savings until the week that it's due, I pull it out of savings. I leave it in there, and then I will make this blue on my budget. For Ricky's gas, we still have $54 left in the gas out of the $125. However, we still have $32 that's charged, and we have 1 pending. So I think we're going to be short a little bit. So for this 80, I'm actually going to change it to 100 just to be on the safe side. He is now driving a shorter distance, so I don't think it will be that high, but I don't want to underestimate it either. So I'm going to say $100 for gas. Now Ricky did do his, last month we put $200 in savings for him to get a new tire. He does need, he still needed 1 more piece that he needed, so that was $11.56. So I need to add that because he didn't, he was short. So he already spent that $200 that was in savings, and now we're adding $11.56. All right, so again, at the grocery store, if you remember, he actually spent $37, so I'm gonna change that. Date night, this is our beer and wine for the house. That was $16.37. And this eating out, we did end up eating out this last weekend, so we got to pay that. So that's $287.87 that we need to tell it where to go because of the overtime. And the same thing for next week. We have $446.32. We need to tell it where to go. We're going to leave Ricky's $20 as is. If you see this, 104, so that's, like I mentioned, Amazon and YouTube income. After paying my stuff, that's what I'm bringing over. So I'm going to be making that extra payment on the teardrop next week. That matches that amount. We're going to leave these the same. So now we could probably go ahead and put some of this other bill money and have that bill money ready ahead of time. So I like to go off of due date. So the next due date would be the solar on the 7th of next month. So we're going to go ahead and add that. We can add the water, sewer, trash. And then we probably can add the cell phone. All right, so we'll be able to get this bill money a week earlier. So that's good. We're going to leave the gas and the groceries as is. Now we do want to, Ricky wants to work on the garden. We have officially started planting, you guys. So we just need a little more soil and some more plants, but we should be good. Okay, so $71.75. So I can do, out of that 200, I can do the $71.75. We can do $128.25 out of the next one. So we still keep it at the 200. We're just going to get a little bit of money. We can try to finish up the soil. We have a 0, so we told everything where to go. We put it in the income, so that shows me here. I know the paycheck's going to be $1,244.94, so that matches what's in there. So I've told everything where to go. Tomorrow I know exactly where it's going. Is it paying off the Discover card? Is it going towards the house project, or is it going into savings for next month's bills? So now we have $734. Guess where that's going? Emergency fund. So I'm going to take out the $255 we had in there, and now we're actually going to be able to save $990.10. High five. Yeah. All right, so like I mentioned, we have, the goal is $3,600. We have let me see what I got in the bank. We have $213.21 in the savings account now. We're going to add our $990.10. So next month in April, I'm going to go ahead and come to my yearly budget real quick. I'm going to update that. So here on my March, I don't update this until it's finalized, because then it will project over to the monthly, and I don't want to do that. But I can update next month. So I'm going to need $2,396.69 out of for next month to make our $3,000 emergency fund. I've already filmed the yearly update based on Ricky's overtime and what we think we can do by the end of the year with doing the emergency fund, with investing again, and then with paying off the teardrop. Yeah, so thank you guys. Thank you for joining me every single Friday to see how we adjust our budget based on what income we actually got, based on the spending we're doing, and based on some of the goals we have. Stay tuned. Monday, we'll be doing the yearly update, and that's based off of Ricky working 10 hours Monday through Friday and every other Saturday moving forward. For the month of April, though, we're not going to put in any Saturdays yet until they happen, but for the year, we kind of projected out what it would look like, so now we know we can invest what we want to invest and we can pay off the teardrop. Maybe we're hoping by October, at the latest December. So no matter what, the teardrop is getting paid off this year. But as always, thanks for leaving your comments. I'll share them next week if you leave a comment down below. If you'd like to pick up one of my templates, it is for sale. The link is down below as well. And I'll see you next week. Bye.